Aye, yeah, it's me again, and it's dead. They finally killed it. I'm surprised it took them this long, but they finally killed it. Top Gear is officially dead. One of the finest things the BBC Group has ever put together. Gone, it's over. They've put it on the shelf, and they're claiming it's because of the Freddie Flintoff crash. That's the headline that's gone out. Look, Top Gear axed after Freddie Flintoff seriously injured in the horror crash. I have my doubts as to whether that's the actual reason, because there's been big horror crashes in it before, if you remember correctly. That Richard Hammond one with the rocket-powered dragster was very, very bad indeed. Not taking anything away from Freddy's crash, obviously, but it was very bad indeed. And all they did was take a little hiatus, and everything was back and bigger than ever. So I thought we could take a look at some of the stuff around Top Gear, because it's been a huge, huge money spinner for it. And remember, this isn't created by the bit of the BBC that you're supposed to pay your licence fee to, and I hope you don't. This is made by BBC Studios. This is a commercial company in it to make money. And Top Gear was one of their biggest money earners of them all. You think that the David Attenborough Life stuff has made some money, or you think Doctor Who has made BBC Studios some money. Oh, Top Gear was the big money maker for it. But why have they really got rid of it? Is it because of the crash? No, of course it's not. Of course it is failing everywhere in the ratings. So you have a look on this. Look, this is the Top Gear ratings. So back in old Top Gear, do you remember old Top Gear? That was quite good, but they actually reviewed cars and they had different presenters and stuff on it. They got about 6 million views. All right, there was less competition back then, wasn't there? There was no streaming services and stuff like that back in the day. But with Quentin Tirflet, Julia Bradbury, do you remember she used to present Top Gear? They averaged 6 million viewers an episode. And then when Clarkson, Hammond and May started, they had Jason Dorr. Do you remember him on Top Gear? He used to give insider dealing tips. Dropped a bit, 3 million viewers, but then we got it up in its heyday to 7 million viewers. And since then, it's been falling. And the latest crew are down to 2.35 million viewers. And it was a big earner for the BBC. It was, if you have a look, it was syndicated all around the world. I've got that in a minute. But there's one thing here, just when I was peeing about today reading this, I didn't know. Did you know this bit? I knew they broke up, and I knew it all ended because Clarkson decked someone he shouldn't have decked. I bet they regret coming to that deal now, though, don't they? Because Clarkson's new show's gone huge, isn't it? But I didn't know this bit. Look, up until late 2012, the Top Gear franchise was a joint venture between BBC Worldwide, the commercial part of the BBC, trading under the BBC name, which shouldn't be allowed for a start. If you want to trade under the BBC name, it should all be under one roof, and that's the bit you pay your licence fee to. And if they make enough money to not need the licence fee, ridiculous how they're able to trade a commercial company out of that. But anyway, they own 50% of it. Clarkson owned 30% of it, and Willman owned 20% of it. Did you? I did not. I genuinely didn't know that, and I'm quite the fan of Top Gear. It's the first time I'd heard that. And the arrangement helped make Clarkson more than £30 million from the annual dividends of millions of pounds from the global exploitation of the brand. It was everywhere. And it was only, I think it was only 2 countries in the world that Top Gear wasn't sold to. The rights to show the show, I think it was, well, North Korea, obviously, and I believe the other one was France. I can't find anything about China. Maybe it was shown in China, maybe it wasn't. Can't find anything about that in a minute, but that is crazy, isn't it? And the French as well, not buying it, which is quite funny. But anyway, in September 2012, BBC Worldwide paid Clarkson 8.4 million quid for his 30% stake, and Andy Willman got 5.6 million quid, so that the BBC own all the commercial property from Top Gear. So they've had a magazine out which has done well. We're up to 360 issues as of December 22. 360 issues. It started at $5.99, blah, blah, blah. Published all over the world. It was a big thing, Top Gear magazine. And to be fair, that was being published before the Clarkson days, wasn't it? But this is an interesting one. Look at this, right? This is international broadcasts of Top Gear. So these are the countries it was sold to. It wasn't shown for free out there. They bought the rights to show this to BBC Studios. It made BBC Studios millions in syndication rights. Look at this. All these places, look. Australia, Barbados, Canada, Croatia, the Czech Republic. Just keep going. Iceland, Israel, Italy, Malaysia. There was China on this list, I didn't see. No, okay. Norway, Philippines, even Russia bought it, look. Sweden, Ukraine, the USA. And then they had international versions, which I'm sure you're aware of. Oh, Australia, China, France, Italy, Russia, South Korea, United States, all made their own versions of Top Gear, but they paid licensing fees to BBC Studios for the rights to use the name Top Gear. So much money the BBC made off of it. So much money. And do you remember the books and the DVDs? Remember, all of that was produced by BBC Studios or BBC Productions, whatever they want to call it. It was the commercial part of the BBC. I've got all the books. They're sitting on a shelf over there. Look at all the DVDs they had. Look, and then some of them were really good. Look, the 007 Car Chasers was good. The Greatest Movie Chases Ever was good. Planes, Rockets, Automobiles, I remember that one. And then they just started getting a bit pony, didn't they? And Clarkson started putting out his own DVDs using the cars that were on Top Gear. He's not stupid, is he? He's a rich man. Rich man is Clarkson. But it's just failing. Do you remember how many presenters there's been? Look, you look back in the day. Look at this, original format. Look at that. Look, Noel Edmonds was on there. Tony Mason, yeah, he used to do, what's it called? Rallycross stuff and everything, and all the rally highlights and everything. Tiffany Dell. Bring Tiffany Dell back. He should have been in the reboot. Tiffany Dell is one of the finest motoring journalists there's ever been, and he can drive. I like Tiffany Dell. And they sacked him off Fifth Gear as well, didn't they? It was fucking crazy. I don't know why they did that. But then it says here that 88 Clarkson joined. Did you ever see Clarkson's first clip on Top Gear? It's on YouTube. I've been watching loads of the classic Top Gear on YouTube lately. Quentin Wilson, he was all right, wasn't he? Look, Steve Berry, who always did the bikes on there. VBH. Willman did present a bit on there. There's a few clips of him. So they were the original ones. And then in the revamp, we started off with Jason Dorr, Jeremy. Jason didn't really click, did he? So they replaced him with James May. And then when they went, what did we get? Chris Evans, Eddie Jordan, Matt LeBlanc, and then Rory Reid, Sabine Schmidt, Chris Harris. The reason I'm interested in the revamp after the Clarkson era is because I remember a BBC thing they put out. Do you remember when the Clarkson debacle happened and they said they're going to reboot Top Gear? BBC Studios said, or it's actually proper BBC said it as well, didn't they? They're going to audition to bring in new people. You can send in your audition tape. And I remember thinking that's a massive scam. Absolutely taking the mick. They're not going to employ some normal human being, are they? It was just a scam, a PR scam to get a load of hype over it. And no one's ever called the BBC out for it, which I think is odd. Do you remember it? No, I've still got it. This is on the Top Gear website, right? As you may have heard, Chris Evans has announced a worldwide audition to find potential talent for the next series of Top Gear. If you want to get involved, here's how. Chris wants you to send in a 30-second audition tape. You weren't allowed to have cars in it or anything like that, and they were going to pick some of the best people and get them in to like proper audition for it and do screen tests and stuff. Never happened, did it? Does this bother me? Only a little bit, because I've been trying all day, looking on old hard drives and stuff that I've got kicking about. I made one of these and it was the most cringy thing I've ever recorded in my entire life. And I've got it somewhere. It's on my old YouTube before it got deleted under my real name, because my original Chili John Carney channel got deleted for copyright. It's gone. I don't know where it is. I've been trying to find it. If I find it, I will put it on the community tab, because it's like the cringiest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So then we go back, right, for the 2002 revamp. Well, no, the one after the revamp, sorry, after the Clarkson days. And he went, Chris Evans, Eddie Jordan, Matt LeBlanc. Do you think any of them had to send in a 30-second audition tape? What about the next lot? Rory Reid, Sabine Schmidt, Chris Harris, Freddie Flintoff, Paddy McGuinness. Do you think any of those had to send in a 30-second audition tape? It's that Blue Peter phone-in all over again, isn't it? Just, I don't know why no one called the BBC out for that. There was a petition going round. Do you remember the Undateables? There's the likeable one with the funny hair. What was his name? Undateables car enthusiast. Alex. Yeah, do you remember him? There was a petition going around to get him to present on Top Gear. Oh, there it is. Look, Undateables fans want Autistic Alex to replace Chris Evans on Top Gear. He sent in his tape. He had loads of backing. Nothing. It was all complete nonsense. Bloody lying BBC. But yeah, it's over. I bet that bloke who got decked regrets kicking up a fuss now, because he has cost the BBC Studios millions. And I bet he's cost them millions. They're not selling any books now. Top Gear magazine isn't the most popular car magazine now, because who buys car magazines anyway? It's 2023. You look at the DVD releases, and the last 2 DVD releases were the best of Series 3 and 4, which was the Clarkson one, or it might not be, or Back in the Fast Lane highlights from Season 1 and 2. They're not producing any proper DVDs. There's been no proper books gone out since Clarkson left. It's a failing brand. And it's a failing brand because they sacked the one team that made it special. It wasn't special because it was a car show. It was just special because of the chemistry those 3 had. And they've taken it elsewhere, and they're making more money because of it. They're obviously happier. But what are the BBC going to do now? Maybe we'll see the audition tapes thing come back around. Because it says it might not be gone forever. Look. In a statement given to PA News Agency, the BBC said, given the exceptional circumstances, the BBC has decided to rest the show for the foreseeable future. The BBC remains committed to Freddie, Chris and Paddy, who have been at the heart of the show's renaissance since 2019, and we're excited about new projects being developed with each of them. Yeah, we call that doing an Amazon. You know, taking them and giving them other shows. And look what Amazon's done with Clarkson's Farm. That could have been you, BBC Studios. Look at Hammond's car shows. That could have been you, BBC Studios. Look at James May's travel shows, which I don't particularly care for. That could have been you, BBC Studios. But it wasn't. So it goes to show it's not just the normal BBC that isn't run properly. It's also the commercial part of the BBC that's not run properly. The whole BBC is not run properly. And I'll go off on a massive tangent in a minute, because the fact that they're allowed to trade commercially under the BBC name never fails to astound me. If you don't know a lot about it, you go on Companies House, right? I'm going to do it. It winds me up. You go on Companies House search. Companies House search. Stupid lad. What are you doing? You type in, we got BBC Productions Limited. Right? I'll bang that in. So there's a lot just from there. But we'll go there, and then you click on People. Francis Ralph Lee, or Lee Francis Ralph, I'm not sure what way around it's supposed to be. And you can see how many commercial companies they have. Look, BBC Studios Productions Kidnapped Limited. BBC Studios Productions. Oh, there was something else. BBC Studios Productions Limited. BBC Grafton House Productions Limited. BBC Comedy Productions Limited. That's probably a BBC one. Nice and Accurate Productions Limited. Yeah, because it's at the Wood Lane address. BBC Natural History Factual Productions Limited. BBC Natural... All of these exist to make profit. These are private commercial companies. And they all do make a profit. And all right, some of the money, fair dues, does fizzle back to the part of the BBC that they demand you pay your licence fee for. But not all of it. These are commercial things. They pay dividends. They pay whatever salaries they want. How are they allowed to trade under the BBC name? I'm supposed to be talking about Top Gear when I've done it again. I can't. It just sets me off. It's something about the bloody BBC. It just sets me off every time. So what do you think about this? I mean, I really enjoy Top Gear. I like watching the classic Top Gear clips as well, back when I actually just reviewed cars and showed you the size of the boot and stuff like that. There's hundreds of them on YouTube here. I've been watching quite a few of them. I quite enjoy it. But the Clarkson, Hammond and May one, I just grew up with it. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen. I remember when they started doing the challenges. What was the first challenge they did? Was it 1,500 quid Porsches? Or was it... might have been the Aston Martin across Europe, or when they raced that Ferrari 612 Scaglietti, my favourite Ferrari of them all. I'd love to have one day. They're getting cheaper now, not cheap enough. I don't know. They've ruined it, haven't they? I bet they regret sacking them over that fight now. I bet they wish they just buried it. It must have cost BBC Studios millions. Let me know what you think about it all down in the comments below. Are you going to miss it? Let me know. Hit all the buttons and everything while you're down there. And if you do that, hopefully I'll get to see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da!